This is the weekly sales meeting for July 26, 2026. My name is Chris Fleming. You can reach me at chris@cdmediaconsulting.com or go to our website at cdmediaconsulting.com. Today's topic, listen with curiosity. It was Stephen Covey who said most people do not listen with the intent to understand, they listen with the intent to reply. You have seen this play out again and again. Buyers get impatient because they don't feel heard. Sellers bulldoze conversations because they think talking is selling. The truth is, the most overlooked skill in this business is listening, and listening with curiosity. The second part is what drives real understanding. Listening with curiosity changes how people see you. It turns guarded buyers into real conversation partners. It turns surface objections into real problems you can solve. It makes you someone people want to talk to, not someone they are trying to get off the phone. This is important because curiosity drives real understanding. You already know relationships matter, but you can't build real ones if you're not curious about the person on the other end. Being curious means you don't assume. You don't walk in thinking you already know what they need. You show up to find out. You let go of your sales agenda long enough to understand their situation. Most salespeople talk too much. Most were trained to pitch. We were taught to explain, but talking fills the space. What really builds trust is when your prospect feels understood, and that only happens when we listen long enough for the prospect to tell us their problem. According to a study by Gong.io, top-performing sellers talk around 43% of the time during sales calls. Average performers talk more than 65% of the time. Those sellers will dominate the conversation instead of learning from it. They think they are driving the outcome, but they are making their jobs harder. We do not get paid by the word. We get paid to close business. The more we listen to the customer, the more likely that will be the intended outcome. Carl Rogers was an influential American psychologist and one of the founders of humanistic psychology. He is known for his work on empathy and client-centered therapy. He said when someone really hears you without passing judgment on you, without trying to take responsibility for you, without trying to mold you, it feels damn good. When buyers sense they are not being evaluated or steered, their guard drops. The brain shifts from defense to openness. That safety creates honesty, and honesty creates progress in real conversations. Most buyers won't tell you the full story right away. They speak in soft language. They avoid conflict. They say things like, "We're good right now," when they really mean, "I don't trust you yet." Or they say, "It's too expensive," when they actually mean, "I don't see the value." If you treat those words at face value and move on, you will miss the sale. Ralph Nichols, often called the father of listening research, said the most basic of all human needs is the need to understand and be understood. That truth sits at the center of every productive sales conversation. Buyers do not lean forward because of a polished presentation. They lean forward because they feel heard. When someone slows down, asks real questions, and reflects back what matters, defenses lower. Trust rises, clarity improves. Understanding is not a soft skill, it is the doorway to momentum. Listening with curiosity means treating the conversation like a puzzle. You are trying to learn what matters to them, not what matters to you. That means paying attention to what they say and how they say it. It also means asking better questions that invite real answers. Skip the predictable questions. Instead of, "Would you be interested in saving time?" ask, "What is one task you would eliminate tomorrow if you could?" Instead of, "Can I show you how we are different?" ask, "What is something every vendor misses when they pitch you?" These kinds of questions show you are not going through the motions. You are paying attention. You don't need to act like a therapist, but you do need to act like a human. Buyers want to feel like they are talking to someone who sees them as more than a deal. Everyone is wired differently. Some want data, some want stories, some need emotional reassurance, some just want to be heard. But you will never know which one you are dealing with until you listen long enough to find out. That is what curiosity is. It is not guessing, it is learning. You can't fake this. Buyers know the difference. They know when your question is just a setup for the pitch. They have been rushed through canned presentations and generic follow-ups. They have had sellers pretend to care when all they wanted was to close the deal. The ones who stand out are the ones who pause long enough to listen without trying to prove anything. If the buyer feels seen, they stay in the conversation. That is the edge. Here is something interesting. When people feel heard, the brain relaxes. It switches from defensive mode into decision-making mode. The more someone feels understood, the more likely they are to think clearly and speak honestly. That is why curiosity isn't just polite. It is powerful. It makes the conversation better. It makes the outcome more honest. It gives the buyer the mental space to trust what is happening. And trust is the foundation for every deal worth winning. The moment a buyer feels understood, they shift. Their tone softens. Their words get more specific. Their objections become more helpful. You stop hearing brush-offs and start hearing real concerns. That shift is a big deal. Once you have earned that moment, don't blow it by diving into your pitch. Stay with it. Dig deeper. Ask why the problem matters. Ask what they have tried before. Ask what they are worried will happen if it doesn't get fixed. The more they talk, the closer you are. If you are not getting traction, stop blaming the offer. Look at your conversations. Look at how quickly you interrupt. Look at how much you are talking. Look how often you ask questions just to check a box. The problem usually isn't the message. It is how you are delivering it. People don't want to be pitched. They want to be understood. They want to know the person across from them is paying attention. That is what opens doors and keeps them open. Dale Carnegie wrote, "You can make more friends in 2 months by becoming interested in other people than you can in 2 years by trying to get other people interested in you." That principle applies directly to selling. The moment the conversation becomes about proving your value, you lose leverage. When it becomes about understanding theirs, everything shifts. Buyers respond to attention, not persuasion. Real curiosity signals respect. Respect builds trust. And trust creates movement that no scripted presentation ever could. Start by saying less. Follow the 70-30 rule. Let the other person do most of the talking. Take real notes. Write down not just what they say, but how they say it. Listen for repetition. Listen for hesitation. Listen for moments when their tone changes. Those are signals. When you hear them, don't rush in. Ask one more question. Let the silence stretch. Most sellers panic when there is a pause. The silence is where the truth comes out. Summarize what you've heard. Don't move on without showing that you've actually listened. Say something like, "It sounds like the delay is coming from internal approvals, not resources." That tells them you have been tracking. It also gives them a chance to clarify or confirm. That moment builds confidence. It also helps you avoid pitching the wrong thing. You are not just reflecting back facts. You are showing that you care enough to pay attention. That makes you more trustworthy. That earns time. Better questions will always outperform better presentations. Ask what is not working. Ask what used to work but doesn't anymore. Ask what their team complains about. Ask what is getting worse instead of better. Don't overload them. Ask one thing and then listen. Give them room to think. Most people are never asked what they really want in a business conversation. If you are the one who asks, they will remember you. They will remember how the conversation felt. That is what drives momentum. Don't rush your pitch. Even if you think you have the perfect solution, wait. The second you jump into your explanation, you shift the conversation back to you. That is not selling. That is pushing your agenda. You skipped right over your customers and went straight to you. Let them finish. Let them vent. Let them explain why other things haven't worked. That gives you context. That will give your presentation more meaning when you get to that place. If you want your offer to land in a space that is ready for you, you must let the customer pave the runway without guardrails or distractions. One of the most effective things you can say in any conversation is, "That makes sense." You are not agreeing with everything. You are acknowledging that their point of view is valid. That small phrase can lower tension and open the door to a more productive conversation. You are not trying to win. You are trying to understand. Once the buyer feels safe, you can guide the conversation more effectively. That is when the presentation becomes a solution, not just another message. Curiosity does not mean you're being soft. It means you are being smart. You are learning before leading. You are finding the real pain before you prescribe anything. You are customizing the value to fit what the buyer really cares about. That is not weakness. That is precision. If you want to close better deals, listen longer. If you want shorter sales cycles, ask better questions. If you want fewer surprises later, pay attention earlier. That is how real professionals work. That is how top sellers stay sharp. The best sellers are not the ones who have the most polished pitch. We are the ones who have the most meaningful conversations. We don't rush. We don't press. We pay attention. We ask real questions. We sound different because we are different. That difference is what builds customer trust. That trust turns into next steps. That momentum turns into revenue. Not because we said the perfect thing, but because we listened at the right moment. That is your advantage. That is the win. My new book, Culture Beats Strategy, 40 Marketplace Lessons for Sellers, is now available on Amazon.com. If you like what you have heard here today, please consider ordering a copy or two. You can always send one to a friend. Go to cdmediaconsulting.com right now and follow the instructions to order.